We're just attaching the plate to the transmission. We're in the process of building the transmission. Make sure if you're unsure of what to do, you follow the instructions. Okay, don't over tighten it. So that's the first part. Now we're going to put the gear. So we got that. Gear there. A little flange for the end. And a bearing. Then a flange and a bearing for the other end. And then you put a little bit of black grease on the center here where it's flat, and just spread it all around it. Okay. Once we do that, we put the gear, which is it's a 56 tooth gear. Then we go with our flange. Then we got our bearing. Okay. And now we do the same thing to the other side. Flange. And then the bearing. That creates the transmission assembly. We're doing the next step of the transmission assembly. So, we have our little rod here, little shaft. This is our thread lock that they supply, because we have a little screw that's going to go into the shaft. And we want to put a little bit of thread lock. You don't want too much. Nope. Make sure you cut it open first. Okay. Don't want too much. And there's a little hole on the end of the shaft here. Let it focus. You can kind of see it there. Just gonna go in. Again, you don't want to tighten too much. They also supply you with the Allen keys you do need. And you just go until it stops and it's snug tight. Okay, just like that. And you got a little piece which will get put onto the end here to prevent the gears from sliding off. And from there you put your you have to be careful because the parts are small. So you got a little washer that goes on the end. And I can't even pick it up off the table. Okay. So the washer just fits onto the end. On top of the washer. Okay. Bearing on the end. We turn it around. the gear. So we gotta put the little, there's a little, again, everything's really tiny. But there's a little pin. It's gotta go in the hole that's right here. And sits in. And then you put your gear in. This is a 19 tooth gear. It goes, and it will fit right over. Then we have a little plastic washer type of thing. And then we have another one of those little stoppies. We're going to do some TV magic, and when we come back, we will have the rest of the transmission shaft. Alright, so we have two parts of the transmission shaft built, as you can see. Now the next step, as we open bag number 3, is for us to put it in the casing. So here's the casing, again, that we already attached the plate to. Top goes in like that. Then we have the center, which he'll go through shaft. A little plastic washer. A bearing. We have the tooth gear. Which makes the transmission connect together. And then we put the next bearing in. And another little plastic washer. Put that's, as you can see, it's all moving, connected. Then next, we go, there's another plastic, and we attach the back cover of the transmission. And as long as you've done everything right, it should slip on over. So there's our transmission built. So we have 2 screws up here. They get placed in. And again, when you're doing these up, make sure you just do them snug, don't over tighten them, because this is only a plastic casing. You gotta give a little pressure at first just to get the screw to sink into the hole. You want to try not to have to open this up too many times, because you can loosen the thread that we create because it is only a plastic casing. Okay, so we're going to do a little more TV magic. and come back. Alright guys, so now we're on to the next part of the transmission. So you got to be very careful with the second last bag here because there are even smaller parts. Okay? So we've got the casing all done. Alright, so now we're going to add the slip disc and we're going to add the gears. So first, and they will go on only one way. They have little slots cut into them. Okay, and we got, now this is only a plastic gear. We might upgrade this later on to a metal one. And you'll notice there's little slots in them. You can't really see it on the camera. And there's slots grooved out on the disc. And the little gasket that comes with it. A gasket for each side. Okay. After the gasket, we put the next slip disc on, and again, it can only go on one way. That makes it so it's nice and tight. From there, we go with that. Then we put a little spring. And we have so depending on how much you tighten this down will depend on how much your vehicle pops. Okay, so from there we put the outer casing on, and the outer casing, there's a little clip in it to keep it in place, and then again, you only want your screws to be snug. Made a mistake. So made a little wee mistake. So that's the transmission, as you can see. Alright, now I'm just going to go get the motor that we're putting in this. So we're going to use a 20-turn axial motor for this. It's just what I had lying around, sort of my spare. It is a brushed motor, so it's a little more sort of say sensitive, and you know, it's gonna be good though, because it is from the Wraith, which is a rock racer. So first things first is we attach the plate. Now it should be a tight fit, and this will help prevent some dirt getting in there. Then we will add the pinion, and this pinion is a 14 tooth pinion. You can't see it on there, but I'll just tell you it's 14. Now the pinion set screw is very tiny. Make sure you don't lose it when you empty out the baggie, and just loosely put it on for now, because you have to make sure that it is far enough for when the motor is actually mounted to the transmission. Okay. So there's a little rubber end that goes on the end of the pinion. It's going to want to jump off on you, but just got to get the fit. Okay, so now we are just going to mount the engine, or motor, sorry. We'll do some more TV magic and come back with this mounted. Alright, so we have the motor mounted. Now, we're going to go into the next bag, which is adding the drive shaft assembly. So, we have to build the drive shaft assembly. Again, you gotta make sure you don't lose these parts as they come out. Okay, so with the drive shaft assembly, you'll have your drive shafts for each side, and all the little gadgets to go with it. I don't have all the names for you guys, and I do apologize, but tough. Lots of little pieces with the drive shaft, and you have to make sure you don't mess anything up and lose it, or else you will not be able to make it. So it does call for a little bit of black grease. And a little bit of black grease goes in the little holes. Okay, that goes in. Alright. So, on top of that part, the shafts, they have a little X on the bottom of them for them to properly be fitted. And again, just a little more time and patience. You have to kind of feel your way around for the hole in it. Once you get it, just tighten it. Again, snug. Do not make it super tight. Okay, so once you got that, and you've put the little piece in there, it's a little bushing, so to speak. That goes along the outside there. Put the little pinion in. Get that around the edge. And that's the end assembled. That's the end assembled.